All right. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. I have a new studio. This is the first show of the new podcasting studio. So, got my room painted. Got my wave. You like my wave res neon? Isn't that cool?
I do.
It's pretty badass, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to get it
And
close. You got to get like if you want to do like the real podcasting, it's got to be like closer in the
right,
background.
yeah, I know. I know. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Mike. So all the art you see in the background, that's my buddy Mike Lunsford. He's from Fort Walton, and he's an oil painter and just does amazing work. So the mahi picture in the background, which is in like all of my podcasts, you just see like part of it, but you actually get to see the full one. You know what that is, right? It's a slot machine.
Oh yeah, yeah, I got it.
Yes. So yeah, slot machine. He did that uh, custom for me, and then there's like another one that's looks like a Dr. Seuss painting. Well, it is a Dr. Seuss. So we did like a Dr. Seuss beach themed painting. It's amazing. It's incredible. So yeah, then the one below that is a Aborigine blot painting from Australia. So a friend
Hmm.
of mine painted that. So yeah, some cool stuff.
The art in my background is done by my kids who like to make messes everywhere.
Oh,
I got some fridge art. Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah. So man, we got a lot. We got a lot of going on in the state of Florida today, huh?
Yeah, my God.
Yeah, and I don't even think
Hurricanes.
we've recorded since Helene.
Yeah, we haven't, man. If anyone's listening and you are in the path or we're in the path, um, reach out to us. If there's anything we can do to help you, obviously we don't have just buckets of cash to give you to rebuild, but we do have a lot of great advice, and we have people we know too. So people in our community that um, could potentially help out with all sorts of things, equipment, just like somebody to talk to regarding disaster recovery. We haven't been through it in a while. I think the last storm to hit the Panhandle really bad was Opal. I think in 2005. We haven't really had it anything since. Well, there's been
Well,
Michael in
us,
Panama.
but I mean, Michael, we had in 2018. It's like I gotta say, it's one of those things I get. You know what I mean? I think I got two defaults. I got like angry and angrier, and it
Mm-hmm.
just it's like the most like I think I saw somebody made a comment about it too about like being pissed off about
Mm-hmm.
hurricanes because you're just like you're so frustrating, and then you watch it like a hawk, and that's why I was not at Arrival this year is because of what formed off the wave that's now created Milton, which is going toward the Tampa area. But they had it initially tracked for going to here, and then it didn't turn out to be anything, and then it just kind of sat there brewing, and then changed course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not no meteorologist by any means, but I had like that terrible hurricane anxiety watching Helene, and then it was that Saturday, and I just canceled my flight because I was like, man, we've got. I've never done like a full hurricane breakdown of our location, like tearing down our store. Like every location's different, but when I
Mm-hmm.
was in Key West, a similar thing happened to Sunset. They were, I think it was for Irma, right before I left, and they had just moved a new location, so they were like still trying to figure out like where everything was going to go. Because I think as a general rule, most places have like hurricane SOP, where everything's going to
Yeah.
go. You got to shove everything in a small area, what you're going to strap down, if you're going to sandbag, all the different nuances that make a hurricane breakdown. So I didn't want to be, because even when Helene came through, I had we had our breakdown kind of like a soft breakdown and then like a hard breakdown. Like soft is going to be like anything that can't go into 4 point tie offs on a slip, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
pull out of the water and keep 8 boats. And then it kind of gives us enough time, like we're up to the last second to like pull everything if we got to pull everything. And then there's our whole beach and retail shop that's got to be torn down. So I think everybody's got their own set of like preparedness that they go through based on, because you don't want to go through all that, tear everything down. I mean, go through, I mean, hell, man, Rich had like hurricane, like pieces of rebar through like a piece of PVC and then cemented in the ground in case he had to strap anything down. So these are the, like, if we were going to take a head on, I was like, man, I haven't done like a full hard breakdown, and I didn't want anybody but me being a part of that process or setting that up. So unfortunately we missed arrival, and then we got lucky. It's not coming toward here, but as of today, which is Tuesday, October 7th, is it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Or 8th. Today's 8th.
8th, and then it's tracked to make landfall in Tampa tomorrow.
You know, one thing I was thinking about some of the people in our community, like Kevin Nobis and Stefan Kunzel. They're in Fort Myers and Medina, and they've been on the show. Actually, we did a show with both of them about hurricane recovery. So if you look at our past episodes, you can listen to that show. But, you know, at what point does rebuilding not make any sense? Because it's not like the government's giving you free money to rebuild. You're having to go get SBA loans, and you're having to just, for people who have gotten hit twice in 1 year or twice in a few years, like at what point do you say, is it worth it? And I think that's what's going to go through a lot of people's head in, you know, the Western Gulf. And like, what do you think about that? Because I've been thinking about that a lot, you know, just for these businesses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough call. It's like your business gets destroyed, and for a lot of us, this is what we know how to do. This is like, you know what I mean. This is the one thing that we know how to do. So it's difficult, right? Because if you're off of like if you're leasing off like a hotel or something like that, your hotel's going to, you know, they have insurance. They're going to rebuild docks. It's not like they're not going to rebuild the docks. You have a submerged land lease. You know, you ostensibly own you own that piece of water underneath. So it's like they're not, you know, unless the whole thing is reshaped or the whole beach gets destroyed. But I think you rebuild. You go and you dump sand and you rebuild your docks, and you get your equipment out of harm's way. If you have head boats, you get them the hell out of Dodge, and you know, you come back and rebuild. Because the reality of it is the general public, they forget. You know what I mean? Or it's like craziness and they remember forever. But most people are like, you know, they're calling like to the last day, like they're worried about their vacation. You know, they want to come back. People want to come back.
But and we talked about that. Like, people will always come back and rent boats and do tours. But from the financial standpoint, if you're having to rebuild 2, 3, 4 times, just getting hit. I mean, obviously, what's happening in the Western Gulf of Florida, this is unprecedented, to get hit 3 times in the course of 3 years by 3 major hurricanes. Like, it's like, it just doesn't happen. But it could happen again, you know, 3 weeks from now, or it could happen twice next year. And it's like, what do you keep going into debt to rebuild every single time? And I think that's the question that I mean, and there's no answer to it, because I'm going to tell everybody to rebuild. Like, it's what you do. You're going to go in there and rebuild. But I wish that there was an easier answer for businesses to not go into debt, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to constantly rebuild their docks. And luckily for most, you know, they're going to protect their assets, like their boats and things like that, but it's the location getting destroyed. Like, you know, it took Kevin Nobis quite a while for the restaurant that feeds a lot of business to him and his location.
The beach and the infrastructure. There was nowhere for parking.
Exactly.
They had
the beach and infrastructure.
Yeah.
You would almost... It almost makes me think that to be strategic on your location. I think this is kind of maybe the message of this conversation, is that try to find spaces to call home, that if you get a hurricane hits, you have, you know, you have a way to get back up and going without you having to bear the...
We know everyone listening to this right now is we all know Greg's a fucking Res Tech guy, right? Oh, yeah, man, just I'll just pick up and move it to this other fucking piece of water that, like, crafted exactly, you know what I mean? If I went and put like my boat rental business with all my pontoons like down in the Keys, not that some jackass hasn't already tried that already. Fucking, I'll leave names out of that, but it's a different body of water, man. You know what I mean? Like 60 horsepower pontoon boats, like 30 of them, 40 of them, whatever. It's like doesn't work. It's
well,
like
you just
the
made a
same
point
thing with
about
like a parasail boat, right? It's like it's different body of water meets different needs. So like everyone's very unique situation. Like they've built the business around the location. It's not like you're gonna go, Stefan's got a whatever amount of paddle boards. He's not gonna go take them over off the beach in Destin or in the Gulf of Mexico or something like that. He's on a protected bay. So we quite literally build your business. And since we're going to do it, and we kind of touched on a little bit, I touch on this in my book that I've been working on that's about to be for publication. It's a terrible time for a shameless plug, but I do talk about this like a lot, where I'm like, when you're deciding what you're going to do or you're picking out your boat, like the body of water that you're serving is like very important. You can't put a parasail boat or a big head boat on a lake. I mean, you can put it on a lake. I mean, Lake George is up there in New York, have those massive ferry boats, but there you go, like a whale wash boat or whatever it is that they do. What's that hop on, hop off out there in California, the big one? What's the name of that company?
Big bus?
No, the boat.
The trolley.
No, the boat company.
The boat? Hop on, hop off for boats?
Not hop on, hop off, but they just went into Chapter 11. What the hell's the name of that?
They have Anchor was like their res tech.
What the hell's Hornblower? So you're gonna take these like giant 200 capacity boats. It's a challenge, and then even just to find another location. If you're running like a jet ski business, that's a little different. You can put jet skis anywhere. You can put pontoon boats kind of like anywhere, but except for rough waters and pass-throughs. But yeah, man, I mean you build your offering based off of what's happening in your market, and then you know what I mean. You put those boats in that body of water because that's what you're basing it off the market because of the water. So it's like, yeah, I mean, to your point, what point do you rebuild? I mean, if they're boats and you can get them all away, you still have your hard assets, and then you're just kind of beholden to. It's just like you go 15 years. I mean, how long has it been since we've had a bad one? If you got hit back to back, like I have no idea at what point
Destin
you give
hasn't
up.
been hit in a long time. Like direct hit hasn't been hit. I don't think Destin has. I mean, we've had storms hit to the east and west, but nothing like direct hit like some of the ones that are seeing.
But I also think it speaks to like the diversification game. Like everybody I've talked to that's been in the business 20, 30 years, they have other things going on, whether it be golf cart rentals or they decided to open up a restaurant, or you can solely rely on water sports, but it's a heavy lifestyle business, and the margins start to get thin sometimes. But everybody's situation is unique and different. But I'm a huge fan of diversification because of this very thing. Like what is it can you go do if you get hit with a storm? If you're on a lake or you're in California, this is not something that they're historically worried about. This is a unique thing to Florida. Other markets don't. Nobody is like sitting around in Wisconsin like super worried about hurricanes. So.
And you and I have this conversation a lot, and that's why you wanted to get, you have bounce houses, you have the boat test, which is affected, by storms, but not the same way that if you have a location is. I'm the same way. Like, Trip Shock really gets hurt with these hurricanes. Like, we have a lot of tours in South Florida. So we're shut down for probably weeks with this, but I have my security software business. It should be a wake up call for everyone that's been getting hit multiple times to think outside. If you really love this business, then rebuild. But while you're rebuilding, think about other businesses that you can get into in the interim to insulate yourself just a little bit on these things. They're not stopping. They're not going to stop.
So I look at I've in my typical true Kevin fashion, I've been working on a bunch of stuff in the off season to get new things going. As I said, I'm writing a book about this business. It'll probably, I don't know if it'll be ready by the port. I'm working on our landing page for that. I'm going to start doing Christmas lights. And I look at the companies that are doing Christmas lights. And companies that are doing Christmas lights are roofers, landscapers, event planners. Like, everybody's got all of these other things sort of like welded on just due to the general nature of building a physical business. And water sports is a physical business that exists on the weather, and it's predicated upon a host of factors, weather being one of them, the economy. Like, we suffer all the traditional things that regular businesses, and then we suffer the other things that tourism businesses get affected by, and then the things that having a business that exists on the water gets affected by. So, I mean, you have to wear a lot of hats anyway in this business. So I'm like, man, you might as well put on a couple more and figure out some ancillary forms of revenue. But, you know, to this point, I feel like we have an election year coming up, and I don't want to get hot into politics because I don't know if you've been paying attention. Like, I watch, I love the All In podcast, and they had Mark Cuban on, who I really liked right up until I heard him talk about politics. And then I was like, man, Mark Cuban's a fucking idiot. And not an idiot. I mean, he's a billionaire, but I think his political, politics is fucking
because he supports Kamala.
No, it's precisely because of the reasons why. Because it's all ideological. And I mean, his take on it in like 30 seconds or less, like where he was trying to pin inflation on Trump, aside from the COVID spending, but he tried to pin inflation on Trump due to his energy policies and the deal that he created with one of the OPEC, maybe Yemen, whatever. Mm-hmm. Point was he didn't really have a good. There's no. I think it's to try and pin what other than the spending that he engaged in. If go listen to the podcast, I mean, he doesn't really make a very good argument. He has the typical anti-Trump rhetoric where he's like mean tweets bullshit. He had no anything grounded in actual, like, I didn't like his policies because ABC. And to this point, I mean, Trump inherited a pretty great economy from the Obama administration, and we had gone on the longest historic bull run. But I think it's not about the politics. I think no matter what, Kamala takes office, Trump takes office, I feel like we're heading like this soft landing stuff. There's nothing historically that shows the Fed's cutting interest rates and cutting them fast and hard that has not been precluded by, every recession that we face has not been precluded by interest rate cuts by the Fed. From 2008, you see rate cuts. 2001 during the dot-com bubble, or 2000 rate cuts. Every recession has been precluded by not emergency rate cuts, but it was pretty damn close to emergency rate cut. I think in the next 12 to 18 months, we're all going to be looking at a hurricane. I think we're looking at either a deep recession or hyperinflation. There's a melt up. We historically, it's something I've really been paying a lot of attention to, and it really makes me depressed because, and it's not even right or left, it's just sound guys that I pay attention to on YouTube or podcasts. And we've never been in this environment before. We've never been in this economic environment. Not all of the different things. Same thing in 2008, right? The home lending crisis was a very unique situation that caused that to happen. And I feel like we're in a pretty unique situation. The amount of debt we're in, the inflationary environment, all of these things, I think lead up to, I don't think, a soft landing at all. And even some of the numbers, like the anticipated spend from either side of the aisle that comes into office is going to put us somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 trillion.
You know what's going to be great? Like a year from now, we will clip this podcast, and then you can share all throughout Twitter and say, I was right.
I don't want to be right. Because all the guys I follow, and I historically don't follow bearish guys. I like following the optimists. You know, I mean, we've been on a, you know, to this point, the last 4 years under the Biden administration, it has not been the historically bad economy that everybody's saying that we've had this bad economy. It hasn't, and it's concerning. It's concerning. I'm not a big fan of the job revisionist shit that's happening.
But the thing is, why is the job market seemingly strong? They added a lot of jobs, blew past expectations last month. So I mean, it's kind of weird. It's a weird market we're in.
Yeah, but the jobs report is, what is it? It's been anchored to most of the jobs that we lost during COVID. So I don't think the economy is bad. The jobs report keeps on coming. They keep flip-flopping, and I think in August they said there was some massive, huge. I mean, there's a lot of jobs to be had, but it's also the M2 money supply, the amount of money that we pumped into the economy during the last 4 years, and then general money spending, and it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen no matter who's in office over the next 4 years. We're going to continue to spend and try and spend our way out of a recession and inflate our way out of a recession. And I just, from everything I follow, it just doesn't seem like it's possible. I mean, we're in the middle of definitely a credit crisis. What's the average points on a credit card? Something crazy, 28%, 29%.
I don't know enough about what's going on. I'm not an economist, so I can't really comment. But what does concern me is the record credit card consumer debt. And one guy I spoke to made a good point. He said in 2022, people spent COVID money when it come to travel. 2023, they put it all on credit cards. 2024, where's that money coming from at that point? They're scraping the bottom of the barrel
and also decrease the
travel.
purchasing power.
Yeah.
We can play this game, and the Fed's inflation's down to 3.2%. But the math doesn't math. Like, comparatively to what? The 9% that we were just at. So all we need is another year, another historic inflation for prices to be at 23% above what they were pre-COVID. And you can't, we're not going to have $25 an hour minimum wage. You're not going to,
Well, look at the context to boat rentals. Our boat rental prices are back to 2018 off-season prices. I never thought we would be back to renting boats at $200 a half day, but here we are. And it's just supply and demand. And
energy prices, cost of fuel. It's going to be challenging. I think everything's going to be challenging in the next year. And those are the guys that are going through a hurricane. Back to that initial question, it's so if we can experience more contraction, and the only thing is if we had a bad labor market. I hate to say it, but and that's sort of the strategy I think people are going to have to take. Layoffs, hiring back entry-level positions, finding people that want work. I mean, geez, we got an extra 10 million people in the economy coming in from the border. We thought that was a fucking good idea, huh?
Well, we talk about having Spanish-speaking crew members, so I mean, you got that.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality of it is there is some truth in that. 8 years ago, I was like, oh my God, stop with the border nonsense. I didn't think it was a real thing, and then by now, everyone's kind of flown to the middle on that or gone to the right, just because of the amount of people that have come into the country and the amount of jobs that. I mean, another 10 million people are increasing the job.
Are you hiring illegal immigrants?
I would if I could. I don't know. I don't know where the.
I don't know anyone that's hiring illegals. At least not in our industry.
That's not true, dude. I went by a boatyard. I can't say if anybody was a legal immigrant or not, but man, he had a whole crew of guys out there, 10 guys painting his boats. So I don't know if they're illegals or what, but Yeah, I don't know, man. But I do know this. I think that faced with if it were me, if I would go on a COVID like lockdown. Everybody other than my creditors, my landlord, my employees. If we got smoked by a hurricane right now, I am so bearish on the next year that I would be highly, highly concerned about the following year.
Yeah,
I am highly concerned about it. I think right now we came off a pretty decent year. I think most operators had a standard year. And as it goes, is like we have to put a lot of money back into equipment, put a lot of money back into the startup cyclical nature of water sports. We're going to go into tight times and spend a lot of money. And my recommendation is to watch all of the pennies and save as much money as humanly possible.
I think you're missing one thing.
What's that?
Is raising cash, whether it be credit, selling assets, things like that. I've been doing this the past couple of years. I mean, I sold a couple domain names. I've increased my line of credit, took a home equity loan, even though I didn't really need it. I just did it just to have the cash. I pretty much raised, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to have, because once banks start tightening up, it's harder to get approved for these lines of credits or loans.
I'll tell you what,
like that. So
regardless of whether or not you like it, where you land on either side of the aisle, markets are going to respond to a Trump presidency a lot better. No one wants to see increased tax rates, even though that's probably kind of what we need to increase taxes and reduce spending. And even then, I mean, Jesus Christ, like you need like 12 years of that, right? Increase taxes and reduce spending. And neither party is going to do that. However, I think the market responds better to a Trump presidency.
Well, they respond better to a Republican presidency.
Yeah, but I just mean like in context of like what's happening in the next 4 years. Markets respond better. Probably money gets a little bit easier to come by. I think that happens probably regardless. The Fed's going to cut rates either way, but money's still not cheap. We're never going to see 0% again. Unless things go sideways.
Do you regret not taking like one of those 3% idle loans from COVID?
Dude, I got jammed up with some bullshit there. They had made a mistake on my taxes. And it was an honest to God mistake. And in the portal, they wouldn't give us the money. If they gave me that money then, I would still be sitting on that money.
So, you know what sucks? I got money for every single one of my companies. Like I had 4 companies. I got the max I could get. And I ended up just giving it back in 2022. I just paid it off because I didn't have any use for it. And now I'm wishing I kept it. No.
You could have just put that money in a money market and just made 5%, man. Bought some nice government bonds.
By the time I paid it back, interest rates were still low. So there wasn't a big arbitrage at that point. But I'm kicking myself.
I think all anybody can really do is take whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you know. If you have a guy on service, side jobs in the off season, I mean, literally anything. Like, where can you offer products or services? What makes sense to weld? You gotta, if you're handy with a wrench, I think now's the time to really start thinking about different hustles that you can add on, and different offerings. That's just because at the end of the day, like I'm a firm capitalist, right? I know that in this country that we have the ability to make money through means of production. And this is like, as I get older, something I never understood when I was younger. And this is how everything happens is country through means of production. So this is always like, when shit goes sideways, when we have problems, I spin up other stuff because I'm always like, how can I make more money? What else can I do? How can I be more productive? How can I have more products to offer to the marketplace? Like, what seems interesting? Like, what can I put in the smallest amount of capital, the most amount of work, and to get the most amount of return? This is why, like, when I look at a lot of bootstrap businesses that are It's like we could even take it to the res tech, right? So it's like you do so much of the stuff. Like for wave res, when you have a great client that wants some type of new feature, you go in and build that. When you're looking for a new client acquisition, you get on the phone and call them. Like you do all the things. So even small brick and mortar, water sports, whatever it may be, is the same thing. You can see the difference between a business that is bootstrapped and a business that's got $100 million behind it. And it's water sports, hotels, whatever it may be. So this is sort of the way I think, right? So if I want to start a new business or do something new, like how can I do it right without pushing the boundaries of my total capital expenditure because of what I have, right? So it's like for me to go out and start a bounce house business and put 50 grand into it, and I have a truck and I have a trailer and I have employees and I have SOPs, I can do that right versus the guy that's got, $50,000 to his name and he's starting to start a bounce house business and he's got to put 10 in there. And so now he's going to skimp on the stuff because it's like, well, do I get kids new outfits for school this summer, or do I buy a dolly to dump my gas trucks in? Am I going to spend $3,000 and build a website or $5,000 and build a website, or am I just going to cut it and go hand deliver flyers and do word of mouth? And so I think it's very relative to what you have in your war chest to the amount of deliverables that you can at the highest level possible. For even so, bounce house is a great example, and we're able to do last minute deliveries. We can. That's a big one in this market. Doing like 2 hours. Hey, can you guys do a delivery? My competitor that's like him and his wife or something go and do those deliveries. They can't do that. They're like, oh no, I can't. We can grab that. Hey, can you bring this outside of your delivery zone for an extra $100 or $150? No, it's not worth it. We're going to do that because we're looking at the customer's lifetime value. Again, if I were to have to go buy a dock or buy head boats or whatever it was, like I'd have to probably do it on the cheap, and I would be like, oh man, you know what I mean? If you want me to go drop $1 million into something, what's up, big dog? To go drop $500,000 or $1 million into something, your butthole starts to pucker. So I think it's things that you can do, again, that don't require a ton of upfront capital, or enough upfront capital to where you're not squeezing the margins or having to pick and choose between doing the best job or taking care of your family or whatever it may be.
Yeah. What do you think the best jobs are for like someone who's like in a situation where they potentially could lose their business for a little while? Like what's a couple great ideas to transition to?
Like as like a W-2 employee or spinning up a new business?
No, just if you're spinning up a new company. Like what are your thoughts? I mean, you've done bounce house rentals. You've done you're gonna do Christmas lights.
Car rentals, yeah.
Car rentals. Like, what have you found like is the lowest barrier, easiest transition, and there's opportunity typically in all markets? Service
and consulting. I mean, the reality of it is if you can do like a service-based job for water sports, if you know how to twist a wrench on the marketing side, if you know how to build a website, if there's any piece of your business that you're really good at and you can sell that service, then that's what I would look at. If refinishing boats, like I don't think there's anybody on the planet that isn't in our industry that couldn't go and do boat detailing, do restoration up to a certain point. Again,
there's actually a lot of guys I know that have like restoration businesses on the side, like Freddie. Freddie, he's an operator, and he did like car studios, things like that.
Car stereos.
He does vinyl, right? Cars.
Yeah.
Did I say studios?
Yeah.
Car stereo.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do vinyl too. We do vinyl too. So I think anything. I think if you're cash strapped, but also I mean, for me, if it were me, if I got smoked by a hurricane, I would honestly probably take a knee and go into sales. And to the point the guy said I didn't like, I think he gave the best piece of advice, Mark Cuban, when asked if you went to zero, and I think I've said it on the podcast before, he's like, I'd bartend at night and I would sell something during the day, whether it be real estate. Well, probably not real estate. Real estate's been horrific. I've heard the nation average for 2024 was 2 deals a year. It's crazy out there. Yeah. But right, car sales, SaaS sales. I'd probably jump into sales only because I know that I'm good at that. And I could go take a W-2 and figure out next moves and maybe not disrupt my lifestyle and be able to take on. Just because I like that. I think it also speaks to what it is that you like. You know what I mean? If in our business, we got trucks, trailers. I mean, trust me, I think about it. I'm like, man, we should go do even though I hate mowing lawns, I'm like, man, I got a truck and a trailer and a fucking lawnmower. We could probably spin up a lawn care company.
Also kind of goes back to networking too. I mean, if you're in the right communities.
Soft sell for the port. Here it comes. Pay attention. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you soft sell.
So anyways, yeah.
Do a conference.
Spin
up a conference.
Start a podcast, yeah.
But also learning too, right? So like I'll say, man, I'm excited about the Christmas lights things, dude. I found a course, $100, like from the company that sells all the shit, and I'm like, go, we got to go right now, like it's coming. We got to do this like right this second. But I think it's also, and we talked about this a lot, but I think there's an opportunity during off season, during times of turmoil. If you've listened to the show, if you've been smart, if you stuck some money away, what most economists say, you want to have 90 to 60 days worth of runway. If you have that for your personal life and for your business, then I think you can take some time to also think about what you want to do next, or think about what you want to tie into. And there's just an incredible wealth of information out there for things that you want to do. There's a course built except for this business. It's the only one that's coming.
So you're saying, Kevin, if you're not happy about these storms, just go on Facebook and complain about it every single day? And
yeah, I mean, and I will say to all the pieces of shit that honestly that do storm scare for engagement, it fucking really pisses me off. Like it really does. I was a couple people on my feed. I don't really delete people off my feed, but when I see people doing that, they like people that are trying to be influencers and wanting to get engagement and jump on the fucking storm scare, fucking, get for engagement posts and likes and all that shit. I think it's the most slimiest fucking thing you can do. I think you're profiteering off of people's fucking misery. I think you're a piece of shit, and I'd never fucking do business with anybody that did that shit, because it's just, to me, it's the most scummiest thing. Shut up. Get a trailer, load up some supplies if you care that much about what's going to happen, and you're out there being fucking Jim Cantori, local Facebook, Instagram, piece of shit. Then you got plenty of time to load up your trailer, drive down there with shovels and chainsaws and go help people. That's my personal take on it. Don't do that shit.
So Tristan, make sure you clip that, because that's a good clip. So
yeah, me swearing and getting angry about something.
Yeah, you didn't get that angry in the show. I was hoping you'd get mad about something.
No. I do. My heart goes out to everybody that's going through that. Everybody that's in that, because the reality of it is, you're going to do water sports in Florida. That this is where like everybody's is the way they are. Is that like that every year? It's like you have the stress of like come June. Is everything going to rock and roll? Are we going to make money? Are we going to crush it? Are we going to get hit with an early hurricane in July? Are we going to get smoked with Cat 4s and Cat 5? And that's another, like, fucking idiots. I got people in my feed that are talking about controlling weather and shit, man. I'm like, just fucking
cloud
stop,
seeding.
man.
Yeah,
it's just stop. Just, shut the fuck up. Get off the internet and go and help somebody if you care that much to post that much about it. But yeah, I think right now all you can do is learn. All you can do is pay attention. The one thing I get trapped in the political and the economic sort of forecasting, but I think it's really important because another thing that I preach and I'm pretty passionate about is investing. Like, I like to invest in companies that are producing. That it's also a great way to see like what the future kind of holds. And you look at some of all of these companies that are in the tech industry and what they're kind of doing. It's also a larger signaler of what's going to happen on Main Street. When you see it happening on Wall Street with billions of dollars, then you can bet that they're gearing up for the same type of storm that's going to hit all of us. So at the end of the day, this is something I really believe in. I feel like if it doesn't happen this year or in the next 5 years, it happened in the next 10 years. Eventually, we're going to see in our lifetime another recession or depression that eclipsed 2008, and I think you have to be prepared for it. And so we, as an industry, constantly are preparing for this kind of bullshit because of the hurricane season and the nature of our business. But it's really important that you have a lot of skills in your tools in your tool bag and availability to continue to produce, whether it be an economic or a literal storm.
Good. I think we should start a pump and dump meme coin.
Do some homesteading, man. I'm out, man.
We do a pump and dump meme coin. We'll start an AWG coin. Pump it up. Send it off to all of our community members, and then we'll just cash out of it.
Talk about gas, man. Fucking, you guys you and Justin Buzzy almost got me on your fucking NFTs, because in my gut I was like, this seems like bullshit. This really all just seems like a lot of bullshit. And I said, I made a post about it. I made a post on Facebook, and surprise, surprise, all my posts.
You went back to your. Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, so I made a post like talking about the exact same thing. There's like a clear value tax. I highly recommend going and following him. If you're new to the stock market, if you investing, he's very simple, straight. He's an accountant, very smart guy. And he made this post about this, like talking about in the inflation and our deficit and like what's eventually going to happen. And he always has like just common sense. He's not like a huge bear. He's not like a Robert Kiyosaki. He's not like buy gold and silver, X, Y, and Z. He's just like, this is, he does all the inflation reports, all the Fed reports. Really smart guy. Really nice too. He's always like, thank you very much. And he's like real straight-laced nerd, But at any rate, he did this video and he talked about this, and I'm just like, man. And I made a post on Facebook about it. It got 0 engagement, which is really weird. I don't know if it's election season. You mention anything about inflation, the economy, or government, half your shit's not going to show up. We know how they do over there at Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg's, yeah, he's.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I was just like, hey, if anybody has a case for why we don't think this is going to happen, I want to know. Like, I want to hear the cheery side of this, but most of the guys that I follow have yet to. Tom Bilyeu, Friedberg, All In, Clear Value Tax, Dalio's, he's a huge bear. Ray Dalio's always a big bear about this.
Tom Bilyeu's a huge NFT guy, you know that?
Yeah. But all of them. Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He's a smart guy, man. What did he found? I forgot. He found something. What was he the founder of?
It's some NFT club.
But he had a real business before that. He founded something, and I can't remember.
It's the nutrition bar. It's like a health bar.
Not Cliff.
Not Cliff. No, he was just some granola bar or something.
Regardless of all of that, I look at all this stuff and I'm like, I feel like next 12 months, if you have money, I think like real estate and land, if you can get your hands on it.
Yeah.
So at any rate, my house is about to turn into dinner here, where I'm recording at in my kitchen. But anyway, nothing but bad news bears from the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast today. But if you guys want to talk more about this, we are going to be in St. Augustine, October 21st and 22nd. And there's still a few tickets left. So we were able to expand it, but we got about 150 tickets sold at this point. We got 3 weeks left until the event. Do not anticipate we're not going to be sold out.
We actually have we were kind of like just using sales tactics, and it worked on all you guys. But we truly only have 20 tickets left.
Don't give away Don't give away the keys.
Dude,
to the kingdom.
so Nathan at Sunset Watersports, he told me, he's like, yeah, I knew you guys were full of shit, but then I was just somewhat unsure if you had tickets, so I bought mine right away.
Yeah.
I'm like, good, it worked on you. It's called scarcity marketing.
FOMO, fear of missing out, which I talk about in my book too. I wish that thing would be ready, man. I want to have that thing, but I am. Yeah. So at any rate, get ready because I'm gonna plug the shit out of that book when that thing is live. It's gonna be the Awkward Book Podcast when we get going. I'm not gonna stop because you know what? The apocalypse is coming. We're running out of time. I need to steal as many of these books as possible. All right, man. 21st and 22nd in St. Augustine. If you've not gotten your tickets yet, go to watersportpodcast.com. 2024 conference. Click on the link. Get your tickets because we are probably going to sell out, and we can't wait to see you guys there. And as always, Greg, what you going to do?
Keep it awkward.
Yep, fucking perfect. And I don't know what I'm going to do. Just be you, Greg. They already know.
See ya.
Boom. Done.